Are you a man of integrity? Do you keep your word? Now, a lot of times us men will say, well, shoot, yeah, man, I keep my word. My word is my bond. Yet, I believe, and I have to say, there's a good chance you've broken your word more times than you want to count. We're going to be talking about keeping your word and building up your own self-trust and your own follow-through. We'll be talking about that this week on episode 180 of The Relaxed Male. This is The Relaxed Male, a show that comes to you each week helping men to remove the nice guy from their life so they can actually live their life on their terms. Join the host, certified coach Brian Goodwin, as he helps men step out of their heads and become free from the thoughts that bind them. Hey man, hello and welcome to Relaxed Male. I am your host, Brian. I'm a certified men's coach, and I help men who are going through just the worst parts of their life to help them make it through to the other side so that they see how wonderful their life truly is. I help you get past the overwhelm, get past all of the confusion that your brain wants to put in your way so that you're able to actually make confident choices, step up, step forward, and become the man your family wants you to be. Become the man that your children want you to be. Become the man that your community wants you to be, and become the man that you want to be. So we're going to be talking about self-trust. We're going to talk about you breaking your own promises more times than you actually want to admit. So before we get into that, I wanted to say, first off, thank you guys. Thank you all again. We are still absolutely growing. The numbers are showing us to just be up and to the right. Now, I keep saying that. And as a matter of fact, May is the highest downloaded month I have had in my whole podcasting career so far. If you want to call it a career, because actually my love and passion is actually in coaching. So this whole adventure of just podcasting, I have had more downloads this month than I have ever had in any previous month, which is just, way thumbs up. And that is not my doing. That is all you guys doing. And I appreciate all that you're doing to show the world, help the world understand, man, there is a podcast out there that is out to help men become the best men possible. And we do that by showing you, hey, it's your thoughts are getting you into trouble. How do you get around those thoughts? How do you change those thoughts? And this is exactly what we're doing it every chance that we absolutely have. And that's one of the reasons what brought on this whole particular topic of promises being broken. We break promises to ourselves all the time. And we often want to make the statement, especially nice guys, that I am trustworthy. I always do what I say. I am a man of my word. All the other things we want to tell ourselves. And in all reality, it's the farthest thing from the truth. And I wanted to talk about why you need to be a man of integrity, man of real, powerful integrity, and what happens when you become an integrity man that's driven by his integrity. And we're going to start that off with actually a bit of a story, something that's happened in my life. And that is that for years, I have talked about wanting to do something great, something big. I've always saw myself being in a bigger environment than what I currently am. And I've wanted to have my own business because that was the thing that I saw as if I wanted to get rid of all the excuses I had. One of the biggest excuses I needed to get rid of was that my pay was determined by another person. And that's the reason why I went into business. And I tried several different businesses. I tried computer repair back in the early 2000s. I tried doing, contracted IT support and things along those lines. I've tried several different things through the years. I've tried social media management and things along those lines until I finally arrived at coaching. And when it came to me wanting to do this coaching, my coaching certification was not cheap. It was a very sizable amount of money, especially for me. I mean, this was if I was able to borrow this, I was taking maybe 2/3 of the value of what I still owed on my loan for my house and was going to apply it towards a certification. And there was no guarantee that I'm going to make the money back. There's no guarantee that of any of that. And my wife was really, well, she still is very nervous about this whole endeavor. She's not sure about it because I've not been a man of integrity. I decided I was going to go to school and go into IT and become a computer systems analyst and all this other stuff, and go into to security and computer security, IT network security, and all this. And I had all these dreams, and I was talking about stuff, but wasn't doing the steps. I wasn't, people would come around saying, well, you need to have A+ certification. Well, I'd go off and buy books on A+ certification and never did anything with it. I spent several $100s on books and courses. And then when it come to time to take the test, I would never take the test. And then I was like, all right, well, I went to college and I did some of the first online schooling because I lived in a small town that didn't have a college and wanted to do some type of college work. And, that cost a lot of money. I used student loans, and I'm still paying through that student loan of trying to get and not completing the college work. And that has been, a couple decades so far. And it's really has affected myself. It has affected my wife. It has affected a lot of the people around me. Because when I say something now, a lot of people just kind of go, oh, it's just Brian kind of dreaming again. My wife is gone. It still has those problems of where we had several nights where we sat down, and that was what we talked about as, are you really going to try to do this? Or are you just doing this and then you're just going to let it go? And I think she's starting to see, no, I'm not letting this go. This is the tiger. This is my tiger. I have got it by the tail. I'm not about to let this beast go, because this is such a powerful thing that I am able to do. It achieves and checks off and it scratches several different itches that I have. One, being able to help people, to change people's lives, to change my life. In the process, I get the reward of helping people by being able to live the life that I want to live. So I am having to rebuild a lot of the trust that I have damaged in the past 25 years. Actually, more than 25 years of marriage. And this has been an ongoing problem through a lot of my life. I was not a man of integrity. I was a people pleaser. I would say what I believed needed to be said to get a person to maintain a particular emotional level. I didn't try to promise something that would get them too high on level. I wouldn't underpromise something to put them below that level. I would figure out what it was. And if I said something wrong, I would change what I was saying to fit that instead of just sticking to what my words were. And this really changed me a lot. And your actions have changed you too. But one of the biggest problems that we have is that we do not trust what we're going to say. And if you really want to be able to amplify where you're going, you have to actually start building up integrity with yourself. Now, why are promises important? Because if you break a promise, that's a level of trust that is built, that is knocked down. And I've used this analogy on my kids multiple times. Trust is like a wall or a foundation to a building. And it takes such a long time to get that built up. But it is built on such a shaky ground of trust that if one wrong thing is said, or if you break your trust, that whole building comes falling down and you have to start over. And this is something that a lot of folks struggle with. I struggled with it, as I mentioned before. So you have to make sure that you are being intentional in what you are actually speaking and what you're actually doing. How are you going to actually get your goals achieved? Because a lot of times we'll make promises to ourselves. Tomorrow I'm going to start getting up. I'm going to go out. I'm going to start going to the gym. Yada, 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 yada. Every new, January 1st, every New Year's Day, we have a list of promises that we are set to make. Very, very few people hold themselves to high enough esteem to where they would actually feel bad if they broke their promise. They have their friends. They have people who they don't actually even like. They will, especially people pleasers who they don't even really like. They will make promises to them and hold themselves to those promises before they ever would do something similar to themselves. Because what happens is if you break your promises, people just flat out don't believe you. Now, the first time you say, I'm going to go to, I got sidetracked. Well, in business, if you tell somebody you weren't there for them when you told them you were going to be somewhere, if you're telling somebody that you're going to be somewhere and you're going to be there at a particular time and you don't show, now, yeah, they may go off and be somewhat okay with it and then go, it was a one-time thing. A lot of people are kind of forgiving. They will kind of accept a letdown once. Second time you go off and say, I'll be there, I promise, and you're not, they're not really going to believe you any more times as you say that. They may go ahead and give you some more tries, but you say, I'll be there at this at such and such time, at such and such date. They're going to go, okay, if you think so, and won't hold you to it. The same thing goes with everybody else in your family. So if you tell your kids, hey, I'm going to go play with, we're going to go play, Legos here in 30 minutes. You better be setting a timer on your phone so that here in 30 minutes, you're going to be done with whatever it is you want to do and be heading towards your son's room so that y'all can play Legos. Playing basketball. Let me get this finished. And here in an hour and a half, here in 2 hours, and we'll go play basketball. And it may only be for 30 minutes. Your kids aren't asking you to do it for days on end. But yeah, you can play for an hour. You can play 30 minutes, an hour, maybe even 2 hours if you've got all your stuff done. Tell your wife, I'm going to go help you move, pictures around, or I'm going to help you paint a room, whatever it is you hate. Even if you hate it, if you say you're going to do it, then get out there and do it. The key is if you don't want to do it, say it. No, I don't. I'm not feeling like I'm going to be able to maintain that line of thinking. And you can just say, no, thank you. Or that's not it. Doesn't interest me. Sounds like it's a great deal, but I'm not going to be able to reach that particular point. There's a lot of ways you can phrase it and where you don't feel quite as awkward. But again, don't lie. Don't say, I've got a case of purple spots. If you said you were going to go out with somebody to the bar and listen to them talk, just because you think, everybody's going to make fun of me if I should go out with John, or for whatever reason. No, if you decide, hey, I don't want to go, say what you're thinking. And you could say it tactfully. You don't have to just be some, blunt object and going, I don't like the reputation that you have. Now, if you're somebody who likes to buy into what reputation is to according to the town, and you find that to be something important, and you don't want to be seen with somebody who doesn't have a good reputation, well, that's your prerogative, really. But you can tell them exactly why. You don't have to be blunt about it and go, your reputation sucks. You can actually go, state what your problem is. I can't. I don't, what's this going to look like if we're going to the bar? If you're a known alcoholic, you're supposed to be recovering, going to a bar, that's not going to look very good. And there's ways you can actually, you can state it. And maybe that's not the best example because especially if you're trying to help somebody and they're wanting to go meet at a bar, then, probably is like, dude, that reputation level is probably not that whole move right there is probably not helping your reputation any. And when you don't hold yourself to that particular level, not only are you going to influence that other person, but when you let them down, you're letting everybody in your circle down too, because it starts to show through in who you are and how you show up. If you break your promise to a potential client that you're going to be on a Zoom call with them on May 31st at 6:00 in the morning and you miss it, you might be able to go through the whole, well, people miss from time to time. There's nothing big. You're going to have people who are going to try to fluff you up on that, but you let a person down. And because you let that person down, they're not going to, you're going to start showing up as if you let somebody down. The next person you call up, you've already let somebody else down. So you're probably going to let this person down too. And you're going to really start building up a whole line of negative thoughts and negative thought cycles because you actually did drop a ball. Because people won't believe you when you say you're going to change because you haven't changed yet. So you have to make sure that you start being intentional, start paying attention to what it is you're actually saying, what it is you're actually going to be doing, what it is you're thinking. These are all intentions that you need to start being very dedicated to. And the big one is, what are you paying attention to when it comes to yourself? When you tell yourself, we're going to work on this project, and you don't, you're telling yourself that it's okay to forego, because the one person who's not going to buy your garbage is you. And that's because you knew you were with yourself that whole time. And so when you start trying to make yourself these little promises, I'm going to start walking every other day for 15 minutes. Well, dude, you're going to have to actually start doing what you say. If you want to start becoming a man of integrity, you're going to want to start becoming a man who everybody believes and understands that he is a man of his word. You've got to start with yourself. That whole priority list that I've talked about before. After God, it's you. Why do you need to be the second one in line? Because you are the most important person in your world. God, you, family, friends, community. You have to have yourself up front. If you put yourself after the community, there's nothing going to be left in you to help the community with. If you're too busy beating yourself up because you dropped the ball somewhere, I get it. But you have to make sure, how are you going to become integrity driven? If you do something that causes you to not be able to work, how are you going to rectify that problem? It's okay to fail at something from time to time. I've mentioned that before many times. You can fail. There's nothing wrong with failing. You're not letting yourself down when you fail unless you don't learn something. And that lesson often is, how do I become better with my integrity? I need to build my integrity up. If I am going to speak to my wife and we're going to have deep, meaningful conversations once a night for an hour, then when it's time to sit down and talk, you need to have some stuff to talk about. Just going, oh, well, I guess we really don't have much to talk about tonight. Well, that's a really good, convenient excuse because your brain's going, dude, we don't have to work now. We've just let everybody off the hook. The wife's been there. She saw us try. We talked for about 10 minutes and that was it. The conversation's fizzled. So we don't really need to sweat it. Let's go on. You have to start becoming more intentional. You have to start building the integrity. You become a man of integrity. So how do you do that? How do you do whatever it is you say you're going to do? First off, you need to pay attention to what your thoughts are. Look at with the thoughts. Start being intentional in those thoughts. Start paying attention to what you're saying to others. Then understand, take a look, really examine why you keep saying some of the stuff that you say. Bob in accounting, you can't stand him, but yet you're always, yeah, sure, Bob, I'll do that. And you end up staying late for Bob, and Bob ends up just, halfway through you helping him, he bails because he's got something to do with his kids, and you're stuck at the office trying to do whatever it is. And eventually you get tired of it and you up and leave. Well, you bailed on your side of the responsibility just because, Bob bailed, or you go off and you actually stay and you complete the project all by yourself, and Bob takes all the credit. There's a lot of different directions that can go. But you could have averted all of that by telling Bob, no, I'm really not interested in helping you today, Bob. I've got a softball game that I'm going to go to. I'm going to go hang out with my kids with. And so we're going to do that. And, you have a good day. And Bob's going to be mad at you because you're not doing what he would like for you to do. He knew he could get you he saw you as that sucker, and you've always been that sucker before. You've always said, yeah, sure, let's do this. But if you pay attention, you see that you're doing it just to people please, then you're going to stop people pleasing. So how do you stop breaking the word to yourself? By noticing when you break the word. You correct yourself gently. You don't have to beat yourself up over the head with it, but correct yourself gently. It's like, no, I said we were going to do this, and so I'm going to do it. And then you be a man of action. To be a man of integrity is being a man of action. You have to take the steps needed to get what's going to be done. If you don't, you're not going to ever have a chance to really be a good, true man of integrity. And when you don't have the integrity, that's when the relationships break down. Relationships have to have trust. And if they can't trust that you're going to do what you said you're going to do, it's not going to be there. And your wife is going to leave. And you may end up being a second party dad where you're just showing up when you can instead of being there when your kids really need you. If you're going through a divorce right now, look at it, sit back, examine, look at the hard stuff and see, well, that's the problem that I had, isn't it? I wasn't being who I said I was going to be. And because of that, that's one of the key blocks as to why the marriage fell apart. So start building up the integrity. It's going to take a long time. You can't just sit there and be trying to be a man of integrity for a week or even a month and expect everybody to suddenly change and start looking at you with different eyes, because that's not going to work either. You have to decide, I am going to be a man of integrity for the next 3 years. And even after that, I'm going to for the next 3 years. And then after that, for the next 3 years. Because somewhere in between that then and the last day you're on earth, people are going to start going, he hadn't broken his word in a long, long while. He's actually a pretty honest dude now. And that's when you know you are a man of your word. Not when you decide to hold your word when you feel like it. You hold your word at all times. So set yourself up for that type of success and start holding your word by giving your word to those who matter. If you don't care to carry something through, then stop giving your word. Because it's like anything, the more you hand something out, the less value it becomes. When you start being very selective on who you're giving your word to, you're making that word a lot rarer and it becomes a lot more valuable. So guys, with that, I want to say thank you very much for listening. Y'all have a great rest of the week, and I will see y'all next week. And fixing to have some big announcements about the Divorced Man's Workshop. So guys, stay tuned for that. We will be coming up with that here within the next couple 3 months. And yeah, that sounds like it's a long while, but it's moving a heck of a lot faster than I thought it was. Yesterday, 1st of May was just yesterday, and we're now already at the end of the month. So, wow, this is crazy. This is insane. And this is coming out actually at the beginning of June. So here you go, guys. Thank y'all so much for listening. Y'all, if anything I said here resonated with you, helped you, struck a chord with you, or you know of a fellow brother who needs to hear this, then share this out. Share it with your community. Share it out with your band of brothers. Share it onto Facebook. Take a screenshot, post it onto Instagram. Tag me in it. I'd love to have a conversation with you. Share it on Twitter or Parler, or actually Parler's not here anymore, but Getter, or any of the other places that you want to be able to share. Anybody you know where there's a man who needs some more information and wants to know how they can become of integrity. This will help them, and let them know, hey, there's a place called Relaxed Male. There's a guy there. He is busting his tail trying to help men become better men. And I think you are a great candidate for being here, because I want all men to become better men. We need strong, masculine men in society, because right now, we've got a lot of people who have forgotten what men are about. And we need you to help me step up and show the world what men actually are. So guys, with that, thank y'all for listening. See y'all next week. Till then, bye.